Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm finishing up a project that I actually started like 2 years ago before all of this, and I kind of forgot about it. So we're gonna finish it now. I already got the base done, the top links, and the frame for my end table. So just gotta clean it up and put it all together. So let's do it.
Starting out, I grabbed my wire wheel and just cleaned the bottom of the frame up a little bit where I was going to start welding the upper supports onto. Sitting for that long, it got a little rusty. When I got to the last upright, the half link that I was using to attach it with had a burr on it, so I had to clean that off so it'd sit flush. With everything tacked on, I was able to go through and finish welding all of my half links on. I didn't want to try and weld it in place. It made more sense to do it flat on the table than overhead later. It was about this point that I realized, though, why I stopped building this project. I literally had no idea how I was going to set this properly. So the best thing I could come up with was have somebody hold it and try my best to line up the top links and the bottom links so they would hopefully sit pretty straight in line with each other. But I kind of feel like after I've done it now, I probably could have done this a better way, but it worked at the time. With everything attached to the center plate, I was able to move on to trying to set the top. So I threw a couple levels on it and slowly tried to get it all to sit right and level. Like I said, there's definitely a better way to do this, but I couldn't come up with it at the time. With it looking pretty level, I got it all finished tacked up, so I moved on to getting it all welded in place. I never realized how far my beard stuck out under my hood. I should probably get something to, you know, protect it a little bit. I suppose I could have just waited till now to weld the half links that I welded earlier, since I flipped the whole thing over to weld the rest of the upright anyways. With all the welding wrapped up, it was time to do the deep clean on this table and get a nice polish going. So I grabbed the wire wheel and started polishing it up. The unfortunate part about using chain is stuff gets in all the little nooks and crannies, so I ended up pulling out my drill with a little wire brush bit on it. Actually, don't remember what it's exactly called, but it gets in there real nice so you can get all of it cleaned up. Getting to the end of this, I thought it's kind of missing something, so I thought I'll add a arm on it and hang a light. So I grabbed more 5/16 chain, measured out how much I wanted, but honestly, I didn't plan ahead for how long the cord was going to be because I hadn't picked out which light I wanted to hang from this yet. But of course, that didn't stop me from going ahead and making this arm anyways. So I stretched out as straight as I could and started tacking almost all of the links together. I left a length at the end unwelded because after I mount the arm, I want to have a nice curve to the chain so the light will be more centered over the middle of the table. With it all set, I got all of the tacks on just to make sure all the connections were good to go before I went and mounted the arm to the side of the table.
Hey, do you have a beard or tattoos? Because if you do, I got something you got to try. Kindred Beard and Tattoo Oil. I really enjoy that it's all natural ingredients and makes my beard feel soft. And a portion of every bottle sold goes to men's mental health support, which we all could use some help sometimes. So go to Feronis.com, check that link below, use my code GIANT till the end of June to save yourself 10% on every order. So, get back to the build.
With the arm ready, I went to tack it on and realized if I wanted to be able to see my angle and everything properly, I actually had to grab a step stool, which was kind of a weird experience for me, but it really did help. I got the arm mounted on there and slightly leaning in towards the table so we can achieve that centered light over the top. With the arm all welded on, I actually dropped the table down to a, more reasonable height so it would be easier to set the arc that I wanted for my chain. And of course, I wanted it to be as straight in line as possible, so I used the best measuring device that I had available, and I eyeballed it. With everything tacked in, I decided to throw it on the table and get everything welded up. Some of you might be asking, Kyle, is it a good idea to weld in shorts? No, it really isn't, but it was hot and shorts are way more comfortable.
With the arm all welded, I'm gonna get it all cleaned up and we can get this thing painted.
So, to spare you from watching me clean this thing again, I just took care of it and now we are getting all the paint on. I'm using a satin black because I didn't want the high gloss look of it. I wanted it a little bit more toned down and I didn't want it flat black, so you just go in the middle, right? After letting the first side dry for a couple hours, I came back and flipped it over so I could finish up the paint job and get ready to move on to actually wiring up the light socket for my light. I ended up going with a bamboo light socket because, well, come on, panda, bamboo, it, it just writes itself. But I also really like that the beige is a nice color contrast for that satin black. And I can't believe how lucky I got because I wired it where the switch is right next to the middle plate support halfway up, and it actually fed through the chain all the way to the end with just enough left over for me to be able to plug the wiring back into the socket. I was a little nervous because honestly I didn't think I put it back together correctly, so I went and grabbed the Edison bulb that I'm using for this to test it out, and luckily it actually worked. For the top, I wanted to stick with the theme and use bamboo, but unfortunately, we couldn't find a piece thick enough to fit the top frame properly, so my uncle just went out, got 2 bamboo cutting boards, glued them together, and then cut out the actual size we needed to fit in the frame. And after I got it set, I grabbed a couple screws just to anchor it in and make sure it can't go nowhere. The last step that I wanted to do for this project was add these 2-inch soft pads to the bottom of each of the feet so when you put it on the floor it doesn't scuff it up.
That wraps up my end table build. And for my first piece of furniture, I'm pretty happy with it. Didn't really know how I was going to do all of it, but I think it looks pretty good. And bigger bonus, the light actually worked first try, and I wasn't sure if I was going to put it back together right. So that worked out in my favor. Next time, who knows what I'm doing? But if you want to know, hit that subscribe button so you can get notified the next time I drop a video so you won't miss anything. We'll see you next time.